Hey there, guys. I wanted to chat with you guys today about something that I love. Christina Benedetti, your personal wine consultant here at your service. Winearella is what I like to call myself, and that may or may not be how you know me. If you have been to one of my wine tastings, that you do know that, and not only do you know that, but then you will have also heard this before. So this video is more or less for people who haven't been to one of my wine tastings necessarily, but I want to share with you something that I am completely enamored with, which is stemware. What? Drinking out of crystal stemware matters. It's crazy. The idea is crazy, but all right, and then of course there are a bunch of you who are like, yeah, that's not crazy. Obviously, drinking out of crystal stemware is going to matter and it makes a difference. But a lot of us, at least, let me put it this way, all right, I and many of my guests at my tastings have never heard that drinking wine out of crystal is supposed to change the way it tastes. So, yeah, if you guys... so if you guys have ever wondered about that as well, I want to share with you that it does. That's my personal experience, and almost every guest at one of my tastings, let me put it this way, almost all of my hosts have experienced that. So what I wanted to tell you guys about is why I even started talking about stemware, because Wine Shop at Home, so we have this really awesome host rewards program, the winery that I work for. And so one of the laundry list of host rewards that our hostesses get is that they get 50% off a set of our stemware. So I never talked about it. Like, I'm going to kind of confess that here. For my first 6 months with the winery, I've been in for about 2.5 years. For my first 6 months with the winery, I never talked about our stemware. Because basically I didn't see any value in it. And if I don't see value in something that we sell, I don't see a point in talking about it, right? That's just kind of how I run my business. And so not only did I not see the value, but I also thought that the claim that our crystal stemware makes the wine taste better was a farce. Like, I thought that it was a marketing tactic, right? We've all been there. We've all worked in retail. And if you haven't, let me tell you, there's this little thing called upselling, right? It's no surprise. We've all seen it. And I straight up thought, for my first 6 months with the winery, that our stemware was not a legitimate value for our guests and for our hosts. So I never talked about it. There was even this little coupon, little booklet, or this flyer that comes for every single host. And there's an entire page in that booklet, an entire section on that flyer dedicated to the fact that our hosts get 50% off of our stemware. And I never talked about it. Didn't even bother, right? They'd see it. If they were to ask me about it, I would tell them they could get it, but I never went too much into it. And as we as consultants know, our guests trust us, right? So if I am not in love with something that's going on here, the host or the guest or whatever probably isn't going to be in love with it either, because if they don't see that, someone working for the company finds value in it, then, well, why on earth would they, right? So anyway, basically, I just wanted to tell you this little story because I tell this at my tastings, and my guests always get a kick out of it, so I thought, I don't know, you guys on my website here, or if you're on my YouTube channel, you guys might enjoy this too. So never talked about it. I was in the business for about 6 months, and I went to my first wine camp, right? Let that sit in. Wine camp. I love my job. And at wine camp, I was talking with one of my newly made friends. Oh my God, can you imagine being in Vegas for 3 days with 299 other wine consultants? It's amazing. You can't not meet people. So I was talking with one of my girlfriends, and we were sitting there at the bar one night, and we were chatting, and I was like, oh my God, do not get me started on that stemware. She was like, what do you mean, don't get me started on the stemware? She's a little bit more educated than I am, and she had been with the company for a little bit longer. And I was like, wow, it's like a total marketing strategy. Like what, crystal is supposed to make the wine taste better? Like, obviously, this is just a tactic to get people to host wine tastings so they can get this thing and spend more money and then blah, 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 corporate, blah, blah. And she was like, Christina, first of all, don't you think that your host should be able to test for herself whether or not she notices a difference drinking out of the crystal stemware? All valid point, because she was like, have you ever drank out of Crystal and compared it? No, because I think it's a load of crap, so why would I do that? And then that's when she was like, don't you think that she should be able to have the option to? That's an awesome point, right? So, as consultants, we get a discount on stuff, so I decided to invest in a set, and the other thing, oh my God, the other thing that my girlfriend said, she was like, yeah, and besides, whether or not they notice a difference, don't you think they might love the fact that it holds an entire bottle of wine? What? I totally forgot. Our Master Stems hold an entire bottle. Okay, so anyway, basically, fast forward, I end up getting a set, and I'm like, all right, I'll bring a glass to the tastings, I'll let my host drink out of it, I'll drink out of it, and of course I get the Masters, the ones that hold the full bottle, because it is so much fun to do a demonstration. Like if we have an empty bottle lying around that we can like actually test it out and stuff, people love it. Oh my God. So anyway, yeah, I decided to get a set, and I'll be damned. Oh my goodness, excuse my language, but I kid you not. It is amazing when I tell people the story at my tastings, like about talking to that girl at wine camp and everything, because, I want people to know that this is complete honesty. Some people don't notice the difference, and that's okay. Like the host, so the whole thing is that normally the host gets to sip, swirl, and stuff like out of her own glass, or I bring a set of Stemware, but the set that I bring for all of the guests is just like regular from World Market, $2 a glass, super cheap stuff, right? Nice enough, but, definitely not Crystal. And so then I let the host drink out of a set of the Crystal, or, one of the Crystal stems, and out of one of the regular ones. And she always compares. So she starts with the regular glass that she would normally drink out of, and then compares it. So like swirling and smelling, and then swirling and smelling, and then tasting and tasting. And it is so much fun seeing the reactions. It's just so cool. And so when the host does notice a reaction, I would say 3 out of every 4 hosts, if not more often than that. Maybe like 5 out of every 6. They definitely, so when they do notice a reaction, or, a difference, I then invite the host to pass the glass around, the Crystal, so their friends can compare the smell, because it is so much fun sitting in a group with you guys, sitting in a group of the tasting, and talking about this, and seeing everybody's eyes roll like, okay, yeah, whatever, like, this chick is obviously just trying to sell us some Stemware, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just such that kind of vibe. And then when the host notices it, and then she passes it around, and her friends notice it, they're like, what? They're like, I've had people ask me, did you treat this glass with something? Is there something in this? There must be something in this. I don't know. Like, I washed it. Like, it's just a normal glass, right? And so then I talk about some of the fun ways and reasons that Crystal does tend to affect wine. So anyway, if you want to read about some of those reasons, check out my blog post. And if you are reading this or watching this because you're on my blog, that's awesome. Find my YouTube channel, find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram. Feel free to reach out with any questions. If you guys want to see another fun little video like this or any blog posts about anything in particular, I'm not a wine expert, but I've been doing at-home tastings for 2.5 years now, and I picked up a thing here or there. And actually, in the blog post, you get to read about something about Crystal Stemware that I learned from one of my wine tasting guests. So anyway, guys, have an awesome day, and cheers. Next time, you better be having that Crystal. Oh, right, P.S. Little heads up, Crystal, if you host a wine tasting with me, you get a set of it for half off, right? That whole host reward thing I talked about, still going on, still a thing. And if you just want to taste it for yourself, host a wine tasting with me anyway, because I'll bring it, you get to taste it, and you don't need to buy it. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you notice a difference or not. It's just really cool when you do. All right, gang. Cheers.